So, in our course selected topics in decision modeling, now we are in our 32nd lecture, that is on genetic algorithms, right. Now, in our previous lecture we have seen the meta heuristics, and one of the very important meta heuristics are the evolutionary computing methods, and they are all essentially coming from the genetic algorithms, right. So, the as the name suggests, the genetic algorithm really coming from the essential idea of genetics. So, they are all nature inspired algorithms. So, here is a comparison. You can see that environment in nature in genetic algorithm is the optimization problem. The feasible solutions are the individuals, the solution quality and individuals adaptation to the environment are comparable, set of feasible solutions and the population species, and the variation operators, the selection, recombination and reproduction. So, what really happening is that the genetic algorithms are intelligent search techniques maintaining a population of candidate solutions for a given problem and search the solution space by applying variation operators. See, what really happens, the biological evolution process is one of survival of the fittest. So, what exactly it means? It means that assume that in a particular place, there are a large number of trees. So, assume that place is very near to a hilly region. So, what happens in a hilly region, the sun's rays are coming, but sun's rays are not coming uniformly to all the trees. It is the tall trees which gets the sun's rays, but the smaller trees are not getting the sun's rays. So, what will happen out there? You see, over generations you will find that particular place in a hilly region, you only find tall trees and you will not find small trees. What is the reason for it? The reason is that it is not that there were not all kinds of trees, we had all kinds of trees, but it is the tall trees which survives over generations, and the small trees they die out because natural selection does not favor them. The same thing about the animals you find in the hilly regions, who really are well equipped to face the winter. The kind of animals you find in the plain region, if they really go without far to the hilly regions, they will not survive. So, this is the process of natural selection. The tall trees grow near the mountains, the animals with fur, they are in the wintry regions, the summer regions we do not find animals with lot of fur. So, these are the things that we actually observe in the natural situations in nature. The question is that how nature does this selection? What is the essential process of nature? The essential process of nature is that the parents who are selected in a natural process are by a process called survival of the fittest. The fittest species, those specific what you call parents are selected for reproduction who are more fit than the others, all right. And then the chromosomes, they join each other by processes like crossover and mutation to really produce offspring, is all right. So, that is the essential biological process. The genetic algorithms mimics it, right. So, mimics it, but since it is an algorithm, obviously we can apply these algorithm in the best possible manner, so that we have the best possible solutions. So, this is the essential idea of the genetic algorithm. So, as you can see, inspired by natural evolution, GAs involve direct manipulation of the coding achieved by crossover and mutation. It begins the search from many points, not from a single point. So, therefore, it contains population of feasible solutions to the problem. Is all right. So, supposing I have a solution space, suppose this is our solution space, right, and in this solution space there are many points. Now, question is, out of all those different points that are possible solutions, the GS randomly starts with points which are really covering the entire search space, So, you see we define a population. What is a population? Supposing my population size is 8, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These are the 8 particles or maybe points which we have selected to define as our first generation. Now, what we do? I have out of these 8, I select maybe a few, maybe say 4, I select based on which of these 8 has the highest fitness. What is the fitness? Fitness is the objective function, in that case the function x, f x. So, supposing there is a function f x which we are maximizing. So, these are like x, each individual point is an x. So, if I know x, I know f x, right. So, that is our what is known as the fitness function. So, based on this fitness function value, I choose out of these 8 maybe 4 of them. Then by the process of crossover and mutation, which I will discuss, from the 4 parents we obtain the 8 offspring, right. Sometimes we do not really have 8 offspring, we may have let us say 6 offspring, and the base 2 parents we also add maybe. So, you see we can have something like this, either 8 offspring or 6 offspring plus 2 parents who are the best in terms of fitness value, that becomes our second generation. So, you see from my first generation of 8 points to second generation of another 8 points, what is the fitness of these 8 and what is the fitness of these 8? If I compare, I will find the second generation the points will have a higher fitness value. Why it happened? Because we have chosen out of the 8, 4 for reproduction which are of higher fitness value, and the offsprings fitness are very near to the parents, not exactly same because they are not same, but then they are very near to them. Because it is so, I have reason to believe that the average fitness has really gone up, is all right. So, that is the essential idea about genetic algorithm. As I move from population to population, maybe generation to generation. So, from second generation when I go to third generation to fourth generation to fifth generation, I have a set of points with higher fitness, right. Again looking at it, while we define the population, we should see that the population diversity, that means representing all types of points, and selection pressure, that means the points are having higher fitness value, they are maintained, is all right. So, that is the essential idea of genetic algorithm. The advantage, it is an answer based method, they do not need auxiliary information like gradients, search via sampling. So, no advanced calculations, and therefore, calculation is easy. The iterative process is also simple. is all right. The search is by stochastic operations, not by deterministic rules. So, it is by a random choice to guide highly exploitative search, is all right. That is the essential idea of genetic algorithm. Let us give another example. Supposing there is a large city and you really want to find persons of a certain type, is all right, persons of a certain type. See, there are some people who are highly knowledgeable on a given area, but they are very rare, you really do not know how to get them, is all right. And in a city there are so many of them, maybe in a city of several crores people, you have maybe 20 of them. You need the best one out of that who has knowledge on a particular field. But then these 20 people, they are not together, these 20 people are dispersed over the city in a random manner. Now, how do you search them? Supposing you go to the city and you knock at every door that do you have this knowledge, it is a foolish method. You just cannot really get that particular person by this method, is all right. But assume you hold a conference. In that conference, you randomly invite say 50 people, is all right. And these 50 people, you tell that you go to several parts of the city and hold another conference of 50 people, is all right. So, you see from 50 people at the next, you are having another set of 50. So, 50 into 50, 2500 people are explored by second generation itself. So, that is the advantage of genetic algorithms. The search space is actually exploited in an exponential manner, is all right. Now, how it is done? That initial population of 50 that you choose randomly, that is like holding the conference for the first generation. But then out of these 50, you create through crossover and mutation, the next generation, and the process is inherently such that it actually explodes a much higher solution space, is all right. So, when you go from several generations, you have actually exploited almost the entire search space. So, chances are if you are continuously evaluating the fitness function value, you are going to reach at the optimum or at least near optimum. The essential idea. So, inspired by natural evolution, the GAs are direct manipulations. So, already we discussed this. So, let us see our next slide, that the idea of GA, the process is such that we do an encoding, then select on the basis of fitness, then employ recombination operators, that is selection, crossover and mutation repeatedly to preserve the good portion of the string. The string is the chromosome here. The good portion of the strings or chromosomes usually lead to an optimal or near optimal solution. The method is applied over a desired number of generations. If well designed, the population will converge faster. So, let us look at the GA evolutionary process. So, you see what really happens, we begin here, that is we initiate and evaluate the population. So, initially we initiate the population. Supposing we are asked that find a number between 1 to 100, just take a very simple problem, find a number between 1 to 100 which fits a functional value f x, right. That means, it returns a maximum value of this function f x. So, we randomly generate through random numbers maybe some arbitrary number like 29, 49, 87, 92. Arbitrarily, suppose we choose these 4 numbers, and for each I find out the functional value. What are they? Obviously, they will be f of 29, f of 49 and f of 92. Supposing these are my functional values, arbitrarily I am writing the functional value returns these kind of numbers, right. Suppose these are my functional values. Now, look here, these f 49 and f 87 are best possible parents. So, based on these fitness function, we select, right. We select out of these generation of 4, I select 2 of them. Which one? So, I select basically 49 and I select 87. So, this is where the selection is done. They are my parents. Who are the parents? The 2 which are selected, is all right. Then the process of crossover is really done. So, I will explain what is the process of crossover. So, through the process of crossover, the 49 and 87 will become, from these 2 I can get 4 different numbers, right. Supposing those 4 different numbers are 41, say 42, 55, 74 and say 89. So, how these numbers are obtained, it will depend on how these are, these chromosome structures are written. So, these 4 numbers could be generated by the process of crossover and mutation of these 2 numbers. So, this is how the modification is done. Then this is to be evaluated again. That evaluated means again for each of them I have to obtain the F 42, F 55, F 74 and F 89, right. So, after this evaluation we might delete some members or I generate the next population. So, from this first population I get the second population and then iterate till my fitness values improve, right. So, that is the essential process of the genetic algorithm, right. So, we will discuss in more detail in our next class, but here I am just giving an overview. So, what is a chromosome? Now, look here, a chromosome can be represented in many different ways. One of the way is by binary encoding. So, what is binary encoding? Binary encoding is by writing the number by zeros and ones. Now, it is not always that binary encoding simply means a number, it could be something else also. Supposing in this example can be seen that supposing there are 7 switches, right. Each switch could be 0 or 1, or assume in a knapsack problem where I have 7 things, it is a 0 1 knapsack. The knapsack basically is that there are 7 things and a particular thing could be either there or not there. Each knapsack has a value, right. How to fill up the knapsack in a certain manner, so that the value could be maximized, and there would be some weight restriction also. So, that is how it is. So, now here you see these are the 7 things. A particular chromosome could be 1001110, that means first thing is there, second and third not there, fourth, fifth and sixth is there and seventh is not there. That is what the chromosome means in the context of that problem. I hope it is clear that 0 1 knapsack, there are 7 things. The chromosome here means which ones are there, which ones are not there. If it is a number, it can also represent a number, right. So, each bit corresponds to a gene and the value for a given genes are called alleles. So, what is an allele? Allele is the number, that is the value, is it all right. So, that is the value is an allele, and the chromosome is essentially the in case of binary encoding, that is the entire thing, and population is a set of chromosomes, right. A set of chromosomes can be called a population. So, that is the essential idea of how these things are represented, right. Now, having known this, now this is how the GA over the generations happens. Already we discussed that initialize, selection, crossover, mutation, insertion into the population and stop, otherwise finish. So, that is how the Goldberg who has written a very important book on genetic algorithms gives the GA over generations, right. Now, encoding, as I was saying, there are different kinds of encoding. What are they? It could be binary numbers, it could be real numbers, it could be a permutation encoding. See, example could be in travelling salesman problem. Supposing there are 5 cities, so you have to travel to each city exactly once. So, here the encoding could be say 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. You see, from 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 1, right, that could be your encoding. Now, you cannot really have 2, 3, 3, 5, 1, this is a mistake. Why it is a mistake? Because in case of a travelling salesman problem, you have to visit every city exactly once. Here, where is city 4? Right. So, this is not a good encoding, whereas this is a good permutation encoding, right. So, in a permutation encoding, every number should be exactly once, which represents the order in which in a TS problem cities are visited. Then we could have value encoding, where actual values could be used as genes in a chromosome. There are tree encoding also, which we shall discuss later, where the chromosome is a tree structure. They have got very unique uses, all right, the tree encoding. So, discussion I will have discussions later, right. So, that is how the different kind of encoding processes that are available for chromosome. Now, question is, how do you select? The selection is also a very interesting process. It could be a roulette wheel selection with or without scaling, then a stochastic tournament selection with a tournament size of 2, a remainder stochastic sampling with replacement, remainder stochastic sampling with and without replacement, and elitism, is all right. So, you see what is really done, as I said that the initial population has got each member has got a fitness value, a fitness function value. So, based on supposing I made a roulette wheel, supposing I make a roulette wheel in this manner, I make a wheel, and supposing there are 8 members in a population. So, I divide this population into 8 regions. So, in this case 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, there could be 7 and 8 also. So, you see these are my 8 regions. As you can see, those 8 regions are not equal. The regions are supposing region 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Each region is proportional to fitness value. All right, it's actually proportional to the fitness value. So, chromosome 1 has got higher fitness, so it is given higher region. 3 or 7 has less fitness, so they have been given less amount of region, right. So, that is the roulette wheel. Now, you rotate the roulette wheel and it just rotates, and when it stops, maybe there is a pointer here, that is a pointer. So, pointer will select one of them. So, suppose the pointer selects 5, so 5 is chosen, that is 5 is selected, right. So, that is the essential idea of roulette wheel selection method. So, suppose you turn, every time you turn, maybe you get 4 next time, you get 1 next time, and you get 8 next time. So, you see the chances of getting selected directly depends on the fitness. So, if you have higher fitness, there is more chance of getting selected, right. Scaling is something where you actually modify the fitness values based on certain criteria, is all right. Sometimes we do select 2 of them and then make a tournament, the better one we select, right. Remainder stochastic is basically divide the fitness value by average fitness, and any value where the integer portion of numbers automatically are selected, the roulette wheel is constituted based on the remainders, is all right. And elitism is a very specific ones where the parent directly goes to the next generation. Not all parents, some of the parents are directly selected in the next generation. Now, every selection scheme has got pros and cons. See, specifically it is known that for genetic algorithm, it is important that I have a balance between population diversity. That means that whether I represent points from the entire region and selection pressure, that means higher fitness value. So, balance has to be obtained between the population diversity and selection pressure, that is very important for the genetic algorithms, right. So, having said that, let us move over and look at the crossover and mutation processes. See, crossover essentially look at, suppose I have 2 parents 101100 and 110111. So, there is a crossover point. So, this line is basically is a crossover point. So, this line is like a crossover point. So, what happens, at the crossover point, these 101 is here and these 110 these 111 is here, all right. So, this portion and this portion together, they become a child, and this portion and this portion, because this should be first, that is the first 3 and these are the last 3. So, this becomes another child, right. So, that is how the crossover can be done. These are called single point crossover, right. And there is a 2 point crossover. You see, this is one gene, chromosome, this is another chromosome. So, there are 2 crossover points. So, one is 10, then this 01, 10, then this 01 and then this 00. This is one, and 11, this 11, this 11 and this 11. So, this becomes another, right. So, this is how the crossover is made, and from 2 parents we get 2 childs, is all right. So, that is how we actually obtain the future generation from a set of parents. Sometimes a mutation is also done, maybe a bit is inverted, a 0 is converted to 1 to make mutation, is all right. So, these are crossover and mutation examples. So, there are different parameters which we also discuss in due time. There is a size of the population, how big should be taken 20, 30 or 50, 100, it is problem specific. The crossover probability, whether to do crossover or not, usually a high probability is taken. The low probability is taken for mutation rate, and crossover and mutation type. There are large number of crossover and mutation types which are again problem dependent, is all right. So, they are all used. Here are some benefits. The benefits, they are modular in structure, good for noisy environment, solutions are obtained all the time, distributed, parallel. So, parallel computing can be made use of, easy to exploit, flexible building blocks, can be used in multi-objective optimizations. So, those are the benefits, right. And when to use a genetic algorithm? When alternate solutions are slow, need an exploratory tool, problem is similar to one that has already been solved, when we can hybridize with an existing solutions, and where near optimal solution, adequate computational power is available and problem converges, that is when the benefits are maximum. Finally, here are some GA applications, right. They could be used in control, design, scheduling, robotics, machine learning, signal processing, game playing, combinatorial optimization, and many other situations. See, as I said, the optimization problems are nowadays more and more dependent on nature inspired algorithms, where GA is probably the pioneering one, and many others like PSO, ACO and many other algorithms, they are essentially derived from the basic genetic algorithm process. So, if you understand the basic genetic algorithm process, you can understand other variations also. Now, since we are increasingly going to have large optimization problems, it is essential that we solve them and quickly solve them, so that we get a solution, if not the optimal, at least the near optimal. So, it is always better than not solving at all, is all right. So, we shall see more details about the GA process in our next lecture, right. So, thanks for patiently hearing.